Spirit of grace, open the gates of understanding. Let our minds be clear, our hearts be soft, and our spirits be free. Guide this conversation with compassion, truth, and soul wisdom. And so it is. Welcome, beloved. Today we are stepping into a tender space, the space of forgiveness, of healing, and of release. This is not a conversation about forcing ourselves to let go or pretending we're not hurting. This is an exploration of the soul's deeper longing to be understood, to understand, and to finally exhale. As you listen today, may you feel held, and may this be the beginning of your liberation. Hello, lovelies. Hello, and welcome back to the Sovereign Goddess podcast. This is your girl, Abigail. And for those of you who landed here for the first time, welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. And I hope that you have been enjoying the episodes I've been bringing through lately, which have been so powerful and just so amazing. So I hope you have been not only enjoying them, but also sharing them with your loved ones as well. So today, it's very interesting. I laughed when I received the topic. And mind you, the topic came in probably like last week. And it was kind of like, in the background. I was like, okay, okay, okay. And then this week it really stepped in. Each time I asked, what is mine to share this week? It will pop up. And it just kept coming up. And I was like, okay, fine, let's do it. And yeah, it's a very interesting topic. Like, let's start out with this. I have to be honest. The phrase forgive and the forget is one of the things that piss me off. Like it feels like it never sat right with me. And here's the thing, just from my experience, and I would love to hear yours too. It feels incomplete to me. It's almost like there's an expectation attached to it, right? Where it's like, oh, if you forgive something, then you have to. It's almost like the memories of all of that has to be erased, right? Like you have to forget all of that. And it's what I'm learning through my own journey and through my own contemplation is this, that it's not that simple. There are many levels to the journey we call forgiveness that I feel like we kind of categorize all of that together and we make it sound very simple. And when someone cannot simply forgive and forget, there's something wrong, right? So hopefully this episode, we through this, you listen to this episode, I hope you find grace for yourself. If you are on this forgiveness journey and it hasn't been easy for you to forget, right? So through my own journey, through my own contemplation, one of the things that came in, and this actually came in recently as I was talking to someone, and I was like, what if, what if a big part of forgiveness has to do with understanding? And here's the thing, we need to break it down. Forgiveness, what if a big part of forgiveness has to do with understanding? Understanding of the other, understanding of the situation, understanding especially of yourself. There has to be some part of understanding in there. And please let me know. Like, this will be one of the conversations that I would love for us to dive in. And I want to invite you immediately into the Goddess Chamber, my free online community, where we can talk about this in that safe space. So please come, and let's talk more about this because I would love to hear your opinion of it because it's such a fascinating topic to me. And the more I am on this journey, the more I realize that it's not fair to say forgive and forget. or to be expected to forgive and forget. Because here's the thing. Let's break it down. Let's talk about, like the levels of forgiveness in general. Like if someone hurts you, if someone betrays you, if you go through an experience, a painful experience, we know that there's an emotional component of that. There's a intellectual component of that. There's a spiritual component of that, and even a physical component of that. Just like with everything that we go through, there are these levels that we move through. And so there's no difference when it comes to forgiveness, right? So let's say someone hurts you, right? So let's say the first step, you start to think about it, and maybe it makes sense, intellectually it makes sense, and that part you're able to release, right? And you're like, okay, it makes sense why that happens. I get it. I see where they came in. I see how I played into it. I forgive myself. I forgive the other. I get it, right? You get it intellectually. And then you're like, okay. And then you're like, wait, why do I still feel the pain? Why do I still feel the pain? That's the emotional aspect. I was listening to a podcast today by Mel Robbins, and she was interviewing someone, but there's something that she said that caught my attention is this. And this part comes in with the emotional level, right? You can't heal what you won't face, and you can't move forward by pretending the past never happened. So, when she said that, I was like, oh, and this was today too. So, as I stepped in and accepted, like, this is going to be the topic that I talk about on the podcast, this came through, and I was like, oh, this is so right on point. This is so right on point with the emotional aspect, right? We need to accept the emotions that come with that. And some of these emotions might last years, right? Because we know emotions they hold weight, and we kind of remember it has a way of imprinting all the way to the DNA level. So the work that we do, like, it's so important for us to pay attention and do that deep work to really help release the emotional aspect of that experience or that pain or that betrayal, right? Is so important. So we might understand it intellectually, like, okay, I get it. I know how we played this and it's done. Let's move on. Whether or not, you still have that person in your life, like, it just depends on what you need in order to find your peace, right? We'll come back to that. The purpose of forgiveness. So you understand, and now you realize that, okay, I get it. But why do I still feel the pain? And that point is an invitation for you to go to that level and be like, okay, talk to me, pain. Where is this coming from? And you might hear that I don't feel safe with that person. You might hear something like, I don't feel understood. I don't feel like the person understands. I don't understand, right? There will be a dialogue there, but we have to go there. We have to follow that emotion, that pain, that that tightness, right? We need to follow there and begin to listen, ask questions. Hey, I get it here, but why are you still here? Because I most people will go here and then try to understand it through the intellectual and wonder why that has still not evolved. That has still not, well, what am I looking for? Well, it's supposed to evolve, right? Maybe it's supposed to evolve. Maybe that's why that word came through. But why it hasn't went away? Because we still haven't done that emotional level work. And that emotional level work requires us to look deep within ourselves, look into our own eyes and see the truth and listen to what the core wound is. What is that core wound? And here's the thing, when you go to that deep level, you will notice that it actually ties to a deeper wound that probably began when you were younger. Because, we talk about spiritual energy frequency, what we attract, right? And also our lessons. And this is where the spiritual aspect, we'll get to that, comes in, right? We attract what we need to learn. We attract what we are in the same resonance with, right? There's a truth in there. Now, again, we can go in there and be like, well, no, no, no. Let's just focus. Just stay here with me for a little bit. So when you follow the emotion, That story can take you all the way to the root of where that began, because it has to be something within us, a story within us that sends out a signal that begins to call in the experiences to validate it, right? To validate it. And this is so unconscious. It's not something that we plan for. It's not something that we're like, oh, yeah, I want to experience this pain. Please bring it on, right? It's unconscious. I mean, some of these deeper wounds, like we didn't ask for it when we were that young. Nobody asked for it. We were babies. We were little ones, right? We didn't ask for it. And so what usually happens at that age is that it gets stored and then it runs as a background program. So this is why doing the work on the emotional level is so important, because if you follow that, it will take you to that wound, and you can begin to talk. You can begin to talk to this version of yourself that experienced it, this version of yourself that you need to bring healing to. Oh, something's coming through. Okay. And I've done this work and I continue to do this work, mind you, because it tends to take me to different aspects of myself. And it always shocks me who shows up that needs to be healed or heard or seen in order for that emotion to resolve, right? That following that invitation of the emotion is going to take you eventually to that core of where it all began. And then as the core, you'll be introduced to the version of yourselves who hold the core wounds. This is where the work really is. Now, that when you get to that point, the first step is to listen, to ask, what is it that you need? You're working with yourself here. Again, this has nothing to do, at this point, it has nothing to do with the other one. And when maybe I should have talked about the importance of forgiveness, or maybe this is exactly where we need to be, right? You work with these versions of yourself and you ask, what do you need? And maybe one is like my one of my inner childs, I took her to my heart garden, in which we all have a heart garden. It's a very sacred space within our hearts. It's only for us and us alone, where we create all our magic. It's where we hold our potent divine light, magic, all of it. So I took her there where all my other selves are, including my higher selves, my other dimensional selves, my guides, like all my team, they're all there. My dragons are there. It's a very sacred space that we all have within us. If you need help connecting to yours, maybe that'll be another episode. I feel like I did it. It's one of the earliest episodes, or maybe it'll be the next episode. And so I brought her into my heart garden and I asked, what do you need? And, all the other versions were around us. My higher self was holding that beautiful space for us. And she just told me to sit. And I just sat next to her. It looks like we were overlooking. My heart garden is massive. Okay. It's a whole like land. Like there's mountains, there's rivers, big, massive trees. Like it's a whole vibe. And we just sat just looking at the scenery, and I just sat with her, and that's what opened her up. That's what cracked her open so that she can begin. She needed to feel safe. She needed to feel safe within me. She needed to feel safe within me, which it makes sense for me. Looking back at my own journey, it makes a lot of sense. She needed to feel safe within me. She just needed me to be present with her, to see her. And then she wanted me to hear her. And at that point, like when we were done with all of that, all my beautiful selves came together with my higher self, and we all just kind of embraced her. And she just opened up like that. She just filled with light. And guess what? What happens to these versions of ourselves when we do all that work inside? Guess what happens with us? That wound gets healed, evolves, shifts, changes, transforms, and then we begin to feel that release. This is where the letting go part comes in, right? This is where we truly begin to feel like, oh, I'm done with that. Now I can let what happened recently, now I can truly let that go, because I no longer have that root that it resonates with, that it pulls on within me. I have resolved that within myself. I am back to my wholeness. I am back to my center. Right? So the emotional level is so important. It can take us on such a deep, deep journey. And when we do that, that's where we really feel that freedom and forgiveness. So, talked about the mental level, which we always go to because, society has programmed us to value this more than this, right? So we go there first. And then like we remember, hey, there's still emotion. And then we go through that journey. But there's also the spiritual level. And I feel like this is a huge part of the understanding, right? The spiritual contracts, the ties, understanding where these began. Perhaps it's a karmic thing, it's a karmic cycle that you needed to break through that experience. Maybe in a past life, you did that to that person. And this lifetime, to balance karma, that person did that to you, right? So understanding in order to understand the spiritual nature, again, you need to be connected to your own divineness. I'm going to say divineness, okay? Your own intuitive nature, your own inner self, your higher self, your divine self, like connecting to that inner world, understanding your spiritual nature, right? You need to know your gifts, because that's how you're going to connect to that and understand what was this interaction all about? Where did it even begin? I remember in grad school, there was one interaction. It was very fascinating to me. A woman that I met there, and it ended up being this whole drama that happened. And when I tapped in, it was like I tried everything and I could not. It was so hard for me to let it go. I would dream about her, and like it was so potent. And then, I did this journey where it took me to a past life, and it showed me the whole instance where it all began. And then I began to work from there. Like it was like so clear the moment I saw that. Again, there's many past lives that this journey could have taken me, but it took me to the past life that I needed in order to resolve or bring balance in this lifetime, right? So that's the thing. When you do true spiritual work and journeys like that, there's so many possibilities because we are eternal, right? We are multidimensional, dynamic, eternal beings. We have so many past lives that we can travel anywhere. But when you go in with an intention, it will take you to the past lives that are relevant to what you are creating, what you're moving through in this present life. So, and that applies to just, let's say you heard a podcast and they took you through a past life journey, and then you saw a specific past life. Whatever past life is shown to you is what you need. It's the puzzle piece that you need in this lifetime in order to do what you came here to do. I'm going to drop that. Okay. So now hopefully you work with past lives differently. I know it's fun to be like, oh, I was Cleopatra. Those are fun. But I want you to pause with this information, to pause and ask, what is this all about? Well, why are you showing me that I was Cleopatra? What is it that I need to receive from this? And how does it benefit me in this present time? In this present reality, how does it benefit me? Right? That's where the gold is when you do the work. So when we're in that spiritual level of forgiveness, of understanding, and you turn on your spiritual gifts, you go on the journey, you understand where these began. Actually, it will take you on that journey to where it began, so you begin to receive the golden nuggets of the wisdom that will lead to the understanding. Does that make sense? So that I feel like the spiritual level is very easy to work with. If we were all aware, this includes me, because even as spiritually heightened as I am and in tuned as I am, this is still, like it still gets me. Like if we were all conscious and aware of the spiritual nature of things, and we saw an imbalance, or we caught an imbalance on the spiritual level, and we worked through that, we wouldn't see anything on the physical level. When it drops into the physical level, it's because we missed it in the spiritual level, we missed it on the mental level, and we missed it on the emotional level. We missed it on three levels. And at that point, our soul has no choice but to drop it in physically, where we begin to have physical symptoms, so that we have no choice. At that point, it's like it has to be in your face, so you do something about it. Right. And we know how it works. Like at the beginning, you get like a little symptom here. And if you don't listen, then it gets bigger and bigger and bigger until you have no choice. You're like, right. We know how that goes. But if we were spiritually aware and attuned to our own journey, spiritual journey, and we caught imbalances in the spiritual level and we brought balance to it, we would never see all of that in the physical. Like we wouldn't receive the symptoms in the physical, because even if we caught it, let's say we miss in the spiritual and we caught it in the mental or the emotional, it would still not drop in the physical. Because once it drops in the physical, it is the hardest to deal with, because again, the physical level is the densest. Things are slow. You kind of have to do physical things to move it along, right? So if we can do our work, if we can catch it on the spiritual level, it is quite easy to resolve it, understand it, and also release it. This is why I love what I do. And this is why I love teaching this to my clients. Because once we catch it, once we practice and we do it over and over, it gets easier. And you begin to see the transformation that happens on the physical level. Your physical beingness, your physical body will not have to hold all of that imbalances, the weight of those imbalances, the dis-ease, right? Your physical body would not have to deal with that. Imagine if your physical body didn't have to hold that. Who would you be? What would you look like? Most of us carry pain on our bodies through, it might look like weight. A lot of people carry their pain as weight on their body. A lot of people carry fear as weight on their body. It just drops down, and then we hold it so that we can figure out a way, figure out a way to resolve. And again, part of the spiritual journey or the understanding on the spiritual level is like, why am I holding it on the physical? Why didn't I catch it early? What is the journey there? Maybe that is part of your spiritual work or your soul path this lifetime. Maybe by you figuring things out physically, it leads you on your path where maybe you become a doctor, or you become a medicine woman, or like it leads you, or an alchemist, right? It ends up leading you on the path. But it's all about, what is your soul path? Why? And by understanding that connection, when you do that journey, that spiritual journey of asking, where did this, like calling in your higher self, calling in your divine team, and talk to the divine, where did this begin? What do I need to understand about this so that I can finally find my peace? So I can finally release this to find my peace. And that will begin your journey where it might take you in a past life. It might take you to a different dimensional life. The multidimensional is like you're here, but it's another version of you, in a different dimension that's like right next to this dimension, living life, right? We talk about this. For me, I can feel it. Actually, I get glimpses of that. And there's some experiences that my other dimensional selves have, and then I'll feel it here and I'll think it's here, and I'll be like, wait, this is not mine. It never happened in this life, in this timeline. And I know it's not mine, right? So it's there. There's always signs and symbols there to let you know. But either way, it'll take you on that journey. It might be past life, it might be future self. That's another thing. Trust me. We are multidimensional. It might be, another dimension. It will take you on that journey. But through that journey, again, you receive the golden nugget that you need, which will help you to release, or help you gain the understanding so you can release. Whew, I feel like I can take you like all the way. Like I'm trying to simplify this as much as possible, right? So you at least understand that Next time you hear forgive and forget, you can say it is not that easy. It is not that simple. It has layers to it. And we have to give ourselves grace and compassion. It is a journey. Forgiveness is a journey. It is not a one thing and then you're done. I mean, there are some experiences that we're able to release it that quickly, but even those ones, it's because we get it. We get it immediately, so then we're able to release it immediately. But the ones that take longer, they are tied to our soul, our soul work, our soul journey. And so it does require us to really do the work on all the levels and understand, understand through the journey what the soul is teaching you or asking you to learn. Okay. Come into the goddess chamber. Let's start this conversation because, like I said, there's so many layers to it. Even in each of the four main layers, like you can dive in deep. Like you can, hopefully, you can see that I can take you even deeper. That's just how the human being is. Like we're just dynamic. It's not that surfacey and simple. This each of our journey is so unique that how I go through my journey of forgiveness might not be the same way that you do. Perhaps for you, you go into the logical and then you're able to resolve. And, perhaps for someone else, they might have to go to maybe the logical and then the emotions and then it's resolved. For someone else, it might be they need to go straight to the spiritual level and then it's resolved, right? We're all different. And for others, it might be they have to move through all the layers. When that happens, it's awakening an ability within you too. There's a activation at the end of that for you, which means that you'll be able to share that gift with others. This work is deep. I wrote this down. I wanted to read it. So here's the thing. I have found that what actually creates space to let go is understanding. Not just understanding what someone did or why they did it, their wounds, their own limits, their own evolution, right? And most importantly, understanding yourself. I talked about that earlier. What you needed, what it cost you, and what you learned from it. And when we truly understand, we stop holding the wound so tightly. We stop making it mean something about our worth. So when you're able to move through these levels and it takes you to the root of the wound and you are able to bring healing to the root or uproot it, right? Like, okay, we're done with this, or transform it, then now there's no resonance within you that needs to hold that experience, that needs to hold that pain, the intensity. It might be even hate, right? Depending on how intense that experience was. But it does require us to go on a journey, a very compassionate and graceful journey. It requires us to take care of ourselves as we move through this journey. I want to share some prompts with you that you can answer after you listen to the podcast. You take your time, grab your journal and pen, and actually answer this honestly for your own self, not for me, not for anybody else, but for your own self. If there's someone in your life or people in you, choose one to begin with, someone in your life that you're having a hard time forgiving, just use that and then follow this. And then I'm going to walk you through. We're going to do like a prayer invocation thing where we just call in divine grace, divine grace, and just divine support as we move through the journey of forgiveness. And I have a feeling that after receiving this invocation, the clarity that you need in order to achieve forgiveness. I love that. Achieve forgiveness will come through. So maybe before I do the journal, why do we forgive? Why do we want to forgive so much? Because in a way, like, what is forgiveness? I feel like for me, I want to gain my peace. It's as simple as that. I don't want to be attached to pain. I don't want to be attached to the other person's pain. I just want my own peace. I want my freedom, freedom and peace. What is yours? What does forgiveness mean to you? Ah, I like this. That's the other part. Defining what forgiveness means to you. Is again, we use forgiveness as this singular thing, like everybody needs to understand this, but it's not. What does forgiveness mean to you? For me, how I know I have forgiven someone, they no longer activate the wound within me. And again, every experience is different. Forgiveness for you might mean that even after you understand that, it might mean that you create that physical space, as in, like, no, I don't want you around me anymore. I cannot be around you anymore. And that's okay. That's part of the release, right? But, and then for others, it might be that, the people are still in your life. And so that's a different kind of relationship that you build. You have to create new boundaries around that, right? There's like all this thing that comes with each of those experiences. And it's very unique to each and every one of us. And we need to honor that. We need to honor that journey and how unique it is. Only you know what that is. Because we have the ability to mirror each other, we might come in contact with another person who might be moving through the same forgiveness journey as we are, so that we can kind of see, because it's hard to see our own journey sometimes when we're in it, right? It's beautiful. I just love that. So, here's the thing, forgiveness is not linear. This is your takeaway. Forgiveness is not linear, it's very much unique to each and every one of us. You have to define what that means to you. For me, it's peace and freedom. Peace and freedom. And sometimes we forgive mentally before our hearts are ready, like I was talking about before, and that's okay. I'm reading my notes here because it was so good. Sometimes we feel a shift in our spirit, but our mind still loops the story. That's okay. Forgiveness can be a slow unfurling, not a snap decision, and that is okay. Again, have grace and compassion for yourself if you are walking on this forgiveness journey. Don't let anybody make you feel that, oh, it's taking too long for you to forgive. They're not on your journey. They're not learning what you need to be learning to move through this lifetime, right? You are on your own journey. And I feel like this comes with the integrity, when you choose to work on yourself, when you choose to spend time deepening into your own journey, contemplating your own journey. Because what usually happens is that you end up attracting people who get it. You end up attracting people who actually get that journey and understand it. They might not go through the same experience that you did, but they have an understanding. And you will feel held, you will feel seen and understood by these people. And that helps with the healing too. For me, forgiveness is a path to freedom and peace. So here are the prompts that I want you to contemplate on, write about in your own journey. So the first one is, what am I still holding on to? And what does this still give me? This is being honest with yourself, because if we're still holding on to something, there's a reason why we're still holding on to it, whether it is to protect ourselves, whether it's because we're just comfortable with it and that's all we've known, right? Maybe that's all you've only known the pain, and like, I don't know what else is on the other side, right? There's a reason why it's still there. And again, taking the time to understand that is part of that journey of reaching that place where you can truly gain that peace and freedom. The second question is this: where do I need understanding more than resolution? It's not about the resolution, it's not about the results, it's about the journey. So, where do I need understanding more than resolution? The third one is, what would forgiveness look like for me? We talked about this a little bit. And then break it down. So, what would forgiveness look like for me? Mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically? These are deep questions. And so take it, maybe do one a day, one question a day, and just really allow the flow. Like, because the moment you ask yourself this, and before you do that, place your hand on your heart, take a deep breath in and connect to your heart, connect to your higher self, connect to the divine, and then ask that question. When you do that, the answer will start flowing through and just write it down. Just keep writing until it comes through. So perhaps just take it one question a day to really allow you to dive in, and also one experience at a time, right? Don't try to solve everything at once, one experience at a time. And the last question is, can I allow space for all my layers to heal? Ooh, this is so important. Can I allow space for all my layers to heal? Oh, all right, let's go ahead and move into the sacred practice. So I want you to make sure you have some water next to you for afterwards so you can hydrate yourself. We're going to start with the self-care already. Breathe into your body, breathe into your heart. Make sure in a space where you can just gift yourself this time and journey and blessing. So close your eyes, take a deep breath in. Breathe into your heart. Breathe into your body. Take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, soften your shoulders. Feel your body settle, your spirit arrive. I am here now. I am here now. I am here now. Place one hand on your heart and the other on your belly, and let yourself feel the rhythm of your breath. Breathing in, allowing your stomach to expand, filling yourself with that oxygen, with that light. And as you exhale, allowing your belly to contract, letting go of all that is ready to go. Let yourself feel the rhythm of your breath, the quiet pulse of life that reminds you you are here, you are safe, and you are held. Now breathe in grace, a golden light flowing down from above, washing through you like warm honey. I want you to envision, seasons, or feel that golden light pour down into your crown, into your heart, and then moving into every part of your body. Allow this warm honey, this warm light, let this grace soften the walls, loosen the knots, and create space for your healing. Let it remind you that you don't have to carry it all. Let the breath become a whisper of compassion. And from this stillness, we now pray. Dear Divine Presence, compassionate heart of the universe, I surrender to this sacred moment. We invite your love to surrender the places in us that still hold pain. We are willing to walk the path of forgiveness, even when it feels impossible, even when our minds resist and our heart trembles. We ask for grace to meet us exactly where we are. Help us remember, forgiveness is not about forgetting. It is remembering without bitterness. It is freedom beyond the wound. Let us see through the eyes of understanding, not to excuse, but to expand, to soften into the wisdom that lives beneath every story, including our own. Cleanse us on all levels, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, so we may rise lighter, clearer, and more whole. Where judgment once lived, let compassion now flow. Where hurt has lingered, let love now bloom. And where separation formed, let oneness return. May I release what is no longer mine to carry. May I forgive myself for all the ways I abandoned my light. May I forgive others not to be absolved, not to absolve them, but to reclaim my own peace. Take a deep breath in of light here and out. Thank you for walking with me. Thank you for holding me through this. Source of all compassion and light, divine presence, I come before you with an open heart, willing to see what I have been unwilling to feel. I ask for the courage to face what hurts, to honor the pain without letting it define me. Help me move beyond resentment and fear into the sacred space of release and remembrance. Grant me the grace to understand, not to justify, but to witness the truth with clarity, to see beyond the wound and into the soul of myself and others. Where there is bitterness, plant peace. Where there is guilt, pour mercy. Where there is shame, shine love. Where there is judgment, awaken wisdom. Help me forgive on all levels, in thought, in feeling, in spirit, in body. Not because it is easy, but because I choose to be free. May I remember that I am not broken. May I remember that no one is beyond redemption. And may I walk this path of forgiveness, hand in hand, in grace. Horomok ot orietia, tarsuk orietia, arnuko mokushitia, pareshiar takaria tukurumo, anchored in truth, surrounded by love. And so it is, and so it is, and so it is. Yetiar nak arumukuya. Begeris tukuria tiar nakaria huram. Harin os ormo e tiar dia. Moria tanda arnde eya. Pare shoromo romo. Didi sorok ori tiar naidia. Narandakia koromukuya. Forgiveness. I want you to remember this. Forgiveness isn't about pretending it didn't happen. It's about no longer letting it define you. It's about honoring your healing journey, reclaiming your power, and softening into peace. If you take nothing else from today's episode, let it be this: you are allowed to take your time. And when you are ready, forgiveness, the true kind, will meet you where you are. I am so grateful you joined me today. I am so grateful that you joined me today. Take a deep breath in and release. Feel your heart. Feel your body. Feel your presence. Be here now. And when you're ready, open your eyes. Welcome back. Welcome back. This is a prayer you can come to time after time after time to support you on your forgiveness, healing journey. I invite you to share this episode with someone who could benefit from this, someone who needs to hear this, with your friends, with your family. Share it with your loved ones so that it can support them too. Let's spread this blessing far and wide. I am so grateful that you joined me today. And if you were drawn to this episode, you're probably on a forgiveness journey as I am. We all are. You're not alone on this journey. You're not alone on this journey. And I'd love to hear from you. What are some of your takeaways that you received from this episode? Again, I'm going to invite you to the Goddess Chamber, my free online community. Come join us. The link will be below. Find it, click on it, get in it, and let's continue this chat. Share with me what you got from it. Any questions you might have, like, come in and let's talk more about this. You're not alone on this journey. I am so grateful for you. From my heart to yours. I want you to remember this. You are sovereign, you are sacred, and you are free. From my heart to yours. Until next time, goodbye.